Many moons ago, a nameless evil was imprisoned in a place far beyond reach.
Let me see what this is. Yeah. Okay. Now get up in front of the camera. Up here. Over here. There. See yourself? Look at the camera. Look at the blue dot. The blue dot.
Hi, my name's Avery, and welcome back. We're going to do scary camping video stories.
All right. That's pretty good. Come on back up here.
That's what I call them.
Scary camping video stories?
That's what I call them.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to stop that right there. And you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let me shrink us back down just a hair. All right. We'll go to big screen. And there's just a bunch of these little short videos. Okay, you're not going to be able to get that.
In the southern highlands of the Australian state of New South Wales, the Belanglo State Forest is home to an enormous area of plantation pine and native forestry. It's free to access for all and is popular for four-wheel driving, trail bike riding, and forest camping. In December 1989, two American tourists set off into the forest with the intention to spend several days hiking and camping as they made their way from one side of the forest to the other. Both physically fit and experienced in hiking and orienteering, their first day was spent trekking up into the hills to gain a solid viewpoint from which to survey the land around them. From one of the highest points, the view was spectacular, so the couple stopped to rest and take in the beauty of their surroundings. Whilst observing the vastness of the countryside, the man pondered how easy it would be to come lost out here, or worse, to disappear completely. As she took a drink, the woman dislodged a small rock, knocking it off the edge and sending it falling hundreds of feet into the water below. She felt a chill as she realized how easy it would be to fall off, and how slim the chances of survival would be. They thought they were completely alone. However, this changed when they realized they could hear the sound of footsteps heading up the hill behind them. The man could make out the silhouette of a single person.
You can feel it watching TV, right?
And was just standing there. Although this wasn't particularly unusual, it still didn't feel quite right, so he told his girlfriend that he thought it would be best if they kept moving. She nodded in agreement, and they set off to find an area to camp for the night. As night fell over the forest, the temperature dropped quickly. Fortunately for the couple, they'd managed to set up their tent while they still had light, and had set up a campfire on which they cooked their dinner. They then sat and relaxed, staring deeply into the fire as they reflected on the day that had just gone, and excitedly pondered the next few days and what lay ahead.
Selena.
They soon retired to the tent and were asleep within minutes, thanks to the efforts of the day. The forest was at no time completely silent. There are dozens of nocturnal animals in Australia, and due to this, at night the forest comes alive with the sound of insects and marsupials. The couple felt quite comfortable sleeping to these sounds of nature and felt they were nothing particularly out of the ordinary, until the man was awoken by the sound of what he thought was crying. He leaned over to his girlfriend and asked her if she could hear it too. However, she was in a deep sleep, clearly undisturbed by this unsettling sound. The man then sat up and opened the tent door ever so slightly in order to see if he might be able to discover where the crying was coming from. He was frozen with fear when he realized that a large man had sat down at their campsite and was the source of the sobbing. The man then leaned back to his girlfriend and whispered as quietly as he could, "There's a man outside. There's a man outside the tent." Even though he shook her, she did not stir, and he realized he would be better off leaving her to sleep until he figured out what to do next. He lay there silently in the dark for several minutes, listening to the stranger talk to himself, and slowly the sobbing subsided. The man then decided that this stranger was of no threat to them, as it appeared he was either lost or homeless. Either way, he needed help, or at least someone to talk to. The man then stepped out of the tent and spoke to the stranger. "Hello," he said, "are you lost?" "No," the man replied. "I just needed to sit and think for a moment. I saw that your fire was still smoldering, so I figured I would just sit here until I figured things out." "Oh," the man replied, "that's fine. What's the matter?" The man then sat down and spent the next few hours talking with the stranger. The stranger was at a crossroads in his life and appeared to be lacking the confidence to commit to the choices he had made. The man managed to convince him that any decision he makes would ultimately be the right one, and that sometimes it's better to follow your heart instead of your head. The stranger seemed re-energized by this and thanked the man for giving him the motivation he needed to continue. The night went on, so did the conversation, until the stranger decided it was time for him to leave, and so he did. The man returned to sleep in the tent and slept through, undisturbed, until the next morning when he relayed the events of the night to his girlfriend.
Keeping up with the story.
She thought that this was indeed very odd, and thought that he was making it all up, as she hadn't slept well at all due to the man's incessant snoring. The man laughed this off, and the couple went on with their hike, spending the next few days venturing deeper into the forest, followed by a few more days in the state capital, Sydney, before boarding a plane home
Sydney,
to
Australia.
America.
Look, I saw
On the flight home, the man's thoughts wandered back to the unusual meeting and conversation with the strange man in the forest. His girlfriend was adamant it didn't happen. And it was indeed so bizarre, he was beginning to question the reality of it himself. 4 years later, late one night in a dive bar in Chicago, the man looked up at a local news broadcast only to be shocked by what he saw. The presenter was relaying information about a serial killer who had been sentenced to jail for 7 consecutive life sentences, one for each of his victims.
Pay attention.
The
Look.
report told of the dates when the victims went missing, and a feeling of terror and guilt ripped through the man as he realized that the first victim would have been around the exact time he had met this stranger.
Need to get more this way. Or I need to sit on this side of you, don't I? See, I got more room on this side than I do this side. Okay, well, let's see.
Is there an video that we can do?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to stop this.
Oh, okay.
And we'll go back to the
Hi, we're going to do another
Yeah,
one.
we're going to grab another video right quick, because that one didn't really get me, did it? You?
No, I think it scared me.
We'll do this one right here. Well, let's see what it is. Sleep over. Okay.
I switched from State Farm because of this site. They had me paying $163 a month for my new car.
Let me
and
get
I
on
got a
this
rate
side.
of just $86.
See, I got more room this
Full
way.
coverage. That's $77 a month I get to save. Try it.
Okay,
It works.
let me right
All you
here.
have
We
to
can get
do
rid of
is
that.
click on the link, enter some really basic
No
info
one's
about
over.
Yeah, but let's get up here in the corner. You ready? Don't slide back over in front of me. Get back over that way.
George,
No, that way.
he was
Quit
obviously
hiding me. I
he
want to
agreed to come
see.
round mine for a sleep.
Where you at? I can't see, Avery.
And he wanted to see what kind of house I lived in, get a sense of what I was
Being
like.
a brat.
But I could tell he was
Get over
already
that
making a
way.
decision.
Stop. I'm
I
going to
thought
cut
you
that
said you had a
ponytail off.
PS4.
Selena, get
George's
her.
eyes flicked around the bedroom. as if he was hoping the console would magically appear from somewhere. We'd been upstairs since dinner. He'd explored my room, and we chatted for a bit, then watched some random shows on Netflix.
Selena, quit
Things
hitting
were
the
going
table.
okay at first, but as the last light bled out of the
No,
day,
Selena
the sky
did.
outside darkened.
Did.
I could tell George was losing interest.
Let's just watch
That
the
was when
movie.
I suggested we do
Yeah.
something.
Look, I see the
bit
pencil
different.
lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nah,
Animatronic.
I don't have one.
Now let's
I
listen
said.
to the story.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Are you still up for having a go at this game, though? What? Telling each other stories? Isn't that little kid stuff? George glanced at the watch on his wrist. I followed his gaze. George's watch was the first thing I noticed about him. He sits in front of me in English, and I spotted the watch after a ray of sunlight glinted off its face and caught my eye. It's a really nice watch. Most of the kids in my year have digital watches, those blocky ones that light up when you press a button on the side. But George's watch was different, more adult. It was one of the reasons I picked George to
Did you
invite over.
please be still?
Hey,
Avery,
That's right, you watch
stop. Or I'm going to knock
George
you
looked
out.
up at me and frowned.
What is so
Your
funny?
watch.
We're supposed to be making this that
It's really
scary
nice.
video, watching scary videos,
George stared
and
at
you're
me
here
for a
cracking
second.
up being a photo bomb.
Sorry. I don't let anyone
Stop.
My dad says I'm not allowed.
Okay, I think this is
Glanced around the
going.
room
We're going
once
to wrap
more.
this one up,
His eye
guys.
going from the door to the
Right?
dark window.
You ready to shut her
He
down?
sighed.
Okay.
Okay, let's play this dumb game then. What do I have to do? Ignoring the bored look on his face, I smiled. It's really easy. We just take turns telling each
let's
other a
watch. We're
scary
missing the whole
story.
story.
Like
They're
the
taking turns telling
scariest
each other a
story you
scary
can
story.
possibly think of. Then, whoever's is the scariest wins the game. George rolled his eyes. I don't know any scary stories. Besides, I think I might get some sleep soon. I'm pretty tired. Come on, just one each. You must know at least one scary story. Everyone does. Plus, I know loads of good ones. I watched George's face for a reaction. Unless you're one of those kids that frightens easily, that is, then I guess you might not like the game. It was a risk, but George bid.
All
I'm
right.
not scared of anything. I've watched horror films with my big brother that are rated 18. We even found one on YouTube that's been banned. I still watched it. I didn't say anything.
Stop.
I just looked back at George and smiled. After a few seconds, I let out another sigh.
Yeah, this is going to kiss you
Fine,
down.
let's play a stupid game then.
Easy,
But after you're
easy,
done
Ashley.
failing to scare me,
Easy,
that's
easy.
it. I'm going to bed.
Look,
George
Ashley.
went first. His
Good
story
kiss.
wasn't bad, in
Kisses.
fairness.
Ashley.
It was one he said his uncle told him a couple of years back. Nothing I hadn't heard before. Basically, there are two kids.
All right.
One of them gets hit by a car and dies.
Quit. Girl, I'm going to throw you out.
Another gives them
All
some
right.
kids
Well,
some
we're going
money
to go back
get
to
liver
just
from
Papa
the store.
watching something on
Something to
TV.
cook up for dinner.
Video.
Because he's
Hell
sick
up.
at the head, though.
Come on, woman.
The kid pockets the money, digs
Why
up
you
his brother,
being... What's
and runs
up
away
with
using
you?
his scared.
Girl, what
Then,
is so...
Later that night,
What are
the
you
dead
doing
brother
to me? You're killing me. You're killing me.
it's a decent enough story.
Okay,
I've
let's
heard it
stop.
100
Stop.
times already. I didn't let
Hey.
on, though. I made all the right
Ashley,
faces,
y'all go. Find
jumped at
something
the
to
right
do,
parts.
guys.
George got
Come
quite
on,
into it.
camera
He
hog.
twisted his arms and his watch glinted
You
in
don't
the
want
light from the
nobody
bedside
in that
lamp.
camera but
His
you,
blonde
do
hair
you?
spilled across his
Yeah,
forehead.
I'm getting the camera
The
too.
story he didn't seem to notice.
Watch your head.
After
Watch
it
the
was
table.
over,
Ashley, don't
sat
kiss her
back.
to death. Goodness gracious.
I thought you were going to stop crying at one
Alright.
point, he said.
Now,
You might as well give up now anyway.
come on, or I'm going to
Scared
send
of
you back
anything.
down there with the little
I looked across
washing
the room.
machine. Ashley will
The
lick
house
your
was
face
quiet
up.
now. It
Get
had
her,
been
Ashley.
for a few
Give her
hours.
kisses.
When we'd first come upstairs, there was still noise coming from below.
Girl.
The faint sound of the TV in the lounge. The rattle of plates being put away in the kitchen. And now, there was only silence.
Okay,
Beyond
sorry,
the
Avery had to
window,
step out for a
tree
split
branches
second
rustled
because
in
she
the
got the
wind.
giggles.
The occasional car
Here she
passed
is.
by on
She's
the road
back.
outside.
Oh, look, she's
That was
giving me
it.
plenty of room now so I can breathe. Oh,
So, you're not scared of anything at all?
Oh, and Ashley got her a
Nothing.
big side kiss there.
Not even stories that are true.
Why you gotta do that?
Ha! Nice try. Just hurry up and get it over with, will you?
All
I'm
right,
already bored.
stop it. Okay, we're going back in there with Mimi and Zoe.
No.
My story's about
Okay,
a
well,
family.
give me a little breathing
and a
room.
kid.
I can't even see the
A
video. You're
family that
getting right
looks
in front of
normal
my
enough on
face,
the
honey.
outside.
I can't
But
see
it
the
isn't.
video.
George rolled his eyes again.
So I don't even know what
He
they're
was starting
talking
to annoy
about.
me quite a lot by
As far
now.
as I know, they're
But I
talking
didn't
about
know.
Venice.
I just carried on with the story as if I hadn't noticed. This
You
family
just
moves
will
around a
not
lot.
stop, will
They
you?
never stay in one place for too long.
Hello,
They
Ashley.
can't. you
No, I
see.
don't need no kisses.
The
I don't
family's
need
good at
kisses.
disguising themselves. They're good at hiding their secret. But they still can't go taking risks. If they stayed in one place for more than a week, they might get found out. Someone might discover what
Ashley.
they really are. So, what are they then? George asked. I wanted to tell George not to interrupt, to just sit still and listen to the story, but I bit down the urge. Instead, I just grinned at him. The family are monsters, I said. They're all
Just wanted to
monsters.
get near you.
They travel from town to
Look, she's
town,
jealous.
and they leave a trail
And
of dead
it's
kids
just me, her, and
wherever they
Selena?
go. I paused,
Come on.
expecting George to
It's
interrupt me again,
Okay.
but he didn't. He
Okay,
only
I'm going to
stared back
stop
at me
this one.
with a
No.
dull.
Well, then get up here and sit
Blank
down. Let's watch it
expression.
together. Can you tell
The
me what
family
they're
has a
talking
very
about?
specific way of doing things. I
Scary
continued.
stories.
Yeah,
They
but
move
what's
into
the
a new
story
area.
about? I don't
They
know.
find a house that's been left
They've been
unoccupied.
telling us, but we hadn't
Not a
been listening.
completely empty house, just one where the people that normally live there are off on holiday or something.
Sorry.
One that'll
Tried
be
to
empty
get
for a
me
week
in
or two.
again.
The family doesn't need long. A couple of weeks suits them just fine. So, they break into this house, and then they go about setting the
Get her,
trap.
Ashley.
It's their own kid they use.
Get her, Ashley.
They send him off to
Get her.
make friends in
Kiss
the
her.
neighborhood.
Give her kisses. Yeah.
Round near Maybe off to the local school under a fake name. Tell him to get to know the
Okay,
other
that's
kids.
good, Ashley. You good.
The family
So
is
you done
hungry
messed
by
up.
this point. Really badly hungry. But they don't do anything just yet. They've learned to be patient. I paused and took a breath.
As soon as you put the camera
This
on
was
her,
a
she
story I
leaves.
told before, but I found I liked it more and more with each retelling. The trick was not to rush, though. You had to savor it.
I
I'd
can
opened
see
the
it in your
bedroom window
eyes.
when we
Quit
first came
sliding
upstairs.
over
Now a
there.
draft of cold air blew in. It ruffled the curtains behind George. Tree
See,
branches
this is a
shook in
daily
the garden
thing, honey.
outside.
And that's why I
The
love
leaves would
you.
spring to each other. George watched me, not saying anything. I had his attention. The kid's parents don't have to wait long, I continued. They never do. They've trained the kid well, you see. He's not just a victim in all this. He may only be young, but he knows how the game works.
What?
The family has been in the
nothing.
area for a
I
little
can
while.
move my
A
hand.
few days, maybe a week at most.
Watch.
The kid makes
Okay,
his
I'm gonna
choice.
pause it and go get Zoe. I'm
He
gonna
picks a
swap
new
you out for
friend to
Zoe.
invite back to
No.
their house. The parents give him an incentive too. He's still too young to share the tastes they have. They tell him that's something he'll only acquire when he gets older. But he still gets something out of it. What does he get out of it? George's eyes were fixed on mine as his knees began to fidget. He gets the other kids' stuff, I replied. Whoever he picks, he gets to keep all their belongings after his parents are finished with them.
Okay,
Somewhere
we're gonna
in the house
pause
below
this
us,
video. This
a
is the
door
way.
slammed.
Well then,
George's eyes flicked away
what's
from
the,
mine
what are they
towards the
talking
bedroom
about?
door, then back again.
Timing.
You
What a
don't
smart
know. What did George tell the
So-
other one?
George kept his eyes on me as he tried to formulate the question. So, what exactly
What was
What
that?
exactly do the parents do with the kids they take? Oh, they eat them, I replied.
Don't pause it.
They eat their
I'm not.
insides. They tear the kids open while they're still screaming, and they pull out their guts and intestines by the handful. Wolf everything down until there's nothing left but a husk.
Well, I'm glad we're sort of missing this.
Somewhere below us, a floorboard creaked.
We
The
do
sound was
a
faint
funny
and muffled.
video. I'll
I
not
don't
laugh,
think George
and
heard
I'll
it.
not do that thing that
Can you imagine what someone looks like when they've had
The
everything
funny
inside them
videos.
removed? They hardly
Oh,
even
no.
look like a person at all.
Look.
It's like the stuff a snake leaves behind when it sheds its skin.
Please don't play
I
video.
The
know.
glow from the bedside lamp made George's skin look pale. His lips
Oh,
were
no.
slightly parted as he stared at me. But how do they get away with it, he
If I
asked.
get the camera on.
Don't the parents of the kids that get taken come looking for them the next day? When their kids don't show up back home? I grinned back at George. I'd been hoping he'd ask.
Okay, hold on just a second. See if I can get this camera. Are they in it, Avery? You see both of them? Is that all we got? Get it, Ashley. Get it. Get it. Selena. Get it. Speak. Okay. That was short. Yes. Sorry for the sudden movement.
Oh,
But we thought that was
the family's
interesting.
long gone by that point, I said. They vanish like shadows in the night. The only thing they take with them is the remains of the dead
I
kids.
gotta shrink
And
this.
when their parents come looking
We'll
for them the
probably do
next
it
day,
next because this one's
all they
already.
find is a locked
I'm not
house
talking.
This one already is going
that belongs
long. So
to
come on up
somebody
here.
else.
Let's go ahead and stop this.
Another
Only
floorboard
dog
creak.
videos. That's their salts in here, no cats. Only
Yeah.
dog videos.
Okay. Let's do like this.
Memory for paying attention to it.
Yeah. All right,
That's
get up
funny.
here. Get up here.
That's funny.
All right, this Papa. It's who,
And this is a
and we're gonna say goodbye for a little while because we was just preoccupied with other stuff, and thank goodness we was because that's a pretty gross little story that little guy's telling. So, till next time, when we come back next time, we'll be looking for what are you wanting to look for this time?
funny videos.
Funny videos.
Dog videos.
Funny dog videos. All right, we'll see y'all soon.
So are we going to do that now?
Wait a minute.
With the other